Do you ever wonder why every single day feels the exact same? Like life has turned into this endless loop of mundane tasks. You wake up, work, scroll on your phone, sleep, and repeat. The excitement you felt as a kid has faded into a dull, repetitive blur, leaving you feeling empty, restless, and lost. You know deep down that you're capable of so much more, but the thought of making the wrong choice paralyzes you. You're desperate to break free, to find direction and meaning, yet you have no idea where to start. And this is all because you haven't defined your purpose. See, without a clear purpose, life will always feel aimless, monotonous, and unfulfilling. And trust me, I've been there. It's completely normal to feel overwhelmed when faced with figuring out your life's mission. Most people spend their whole lives trying to find it. Yet if you keep avoiding it, you risk waking up years from now, filled with regret, realizing you've wasted your best years simply existing rather than truly living. That's why in this module, I'm going to guide you step by step through the exact process I used at 18 to discover my higher purpose. So after watching and applying this module, you'll have clarity like never before. Every action you take will be meaningful, fulfilling you deeply and naturally aligning you with success. You'll wake up every day knowing exactly what you're meant to do. So no more drifting, no more uncertainty, just purposeful action, excitement, and genuine fulfillment. So, watch closely, remove all distractions, and get ready to find your true purpose. Let's dive right in. Welcome to the Purpose module. What is the meaning of your life? What you'll discover today is Part 0, Purpose Requirements, Part 1, What, Why, When, and How, your prerequisite, what is a purpose, my purpose paradigm, and how to find your purpose. So let's get straight into it. Part 0, Purpose Requirements. You might not be ready to fulfill your purpose. And I know that's not the answer you're looking for, but it's the truth. And this is completely normal because you're young. The reality is, most find their higher calling after a midlife crisis, which happens between 40 and 60. Because more often than not, your purpose comes to you naturally. But the reason I make this video is to help you, quote unquote, find your purpose earlier than most people to give you a massive advantage in life in the context of success. And this also means that you avoid the pain of a midlife crisis and you get to do what you truly want in your prime years as opposed to like when you're 40 or 50. So, like I've been saying, most people find their purpose way too late in life, which I'll talk more about later in this module. But on the contrary, finding it way too early is also a gateway to having a miserable life. So, this first section is just to see if you're ready to find and fulfill your purpose in life. And if you aren't, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do to become ready as soon as possible without rushing. So, you're not ready if you haven't experienced enough of life. And I'll explain this in 3 stages. Stage 1, survival. At this stage, the only thing you truly care about is 3 things: food, shelter, and water. Do you think caveman cared about what their purpose in life is? Obviously not. They only cared about the hunt tomorrow or how they're going to find the next clean water source because those 3 are the necessities to life. So when you're at stage 1, those necessities are what truly fulfill your existence because you can't get enough of it. But now we live in a society where we're not cavemen anymore. So I'd say about 90% of people have these basic necessities readily available, so they're actually a stage above. And that stage is stage 2, vanity. And this is where the majority of kids, teens, and young adults are, right? Because at this stage, life is all about fun, entertainment, and doing stupid shit. Just experiencing what life has to offer, right? So for kids, it's playing with the latest toy, eating different types of sweets, going to Disneyland, and so on. For teens, it's drinking your first drink, doing stupid illegal things for adrenaline, getting your first kiss, or losing your virginity. All the dumb things teens do, right? For young adults, it's usually traveling, dating, partying, etc. So when you're at stage 2, you're at a point in life where you can't get enough of this fun. So every day, the only thing you look forward to doing is having fun/pleasure because it's what truly fulfills you in this current moment. And if you're wondering, it took me 5 years of going all in on stage 2, experiencing as many things as possible before I even got to stage 3. So don't feel ashamed if you're still at the stage. It doesn't mean you're not mature or anything. It just means you're not ready to fulfill your life's mission. So just live in the moment and experience things. So here we have stage 3, which is when you're ready to find your purpose, right? So this is the final stage. And usually it consists of people in their late 20s, 30s, 40s. People that are ready to settle down and start taking life more seriously. And to these people, the only thing that truly fulfills them is serving others. spreading joy, charity, to provide and to grow a successful career, working on their personal growth. They've matured and they've already had enough fun, and the activities in stage 2 no longer give them the same feeling of fulfillment. They're ready to move on from the activities that provide them short-term pleasures, activities that satiate the ego. The only thing they care about now could be becoming a CEO to make a positive change in the world, or having a beautiful family and raising children, because these activities are what fulfill their life in this current stage. And if you didn't realize, none of these goals help themselves. They're all selfless acts, because at its core, a man feels most fulfilled and satisfied after providing and helping those he loves. So, when are you actually ready to find your true purpose in life? The only right answer would be stage 3. When you've emotionally matured, when you truly care about your personal growth, when you've started to change for the better, when you care about your career, and when you care about how you're going to raise your children, and when you care about how to keep your wife satisfied. And those are just a few examples, right? Because when you try to find and fulfill your purpose at stage 1 or stage 2, you end up living a lie driven by the ego and shallow desires. And you will fall into one of the biggest traps in human existence, which I'll get into later in the module. So if you're wondering what you should do if you're not at stage 3, it's pretty simple. Keep doing what truly fulfills you in this current moment until it doesn't. Because the key is to feel like you've truly had enough. That is the only way to go up a rank. So if you're in stage 2, for example, the best thing to do is go and experience the fun things. Do all the stupid things. Travel to as many places as you can and party until you can't anymore. Is it a coincidence that all these old and wise people tell you the same thing? When you're young, do all the stupid and fun stuff. Because the sooner you experience it all, the quicker you can find your purpose and succeed in life. You'll never find your true purpose if you have no options. Because when you have no options, you have no choice. And when you have no choice, you're going to live a lie that's labeled as your purpose. And we all know this leads you to waste your one and only chance at life in regret. But most of you watching this video should be on the edge of stage 2, ready to rank up to stage 3. You've kind of got bored of that life and you're ready to change into a better person and start truly living life for what it is. So keep watching, because I'm going to guide you through ranking up and ultimately having a clear purpose and mission for your life. But before that, I want to share my story, right? I found my purpose at 18. And the only reason I was able to rank up so fast is because of where I live, my opportunities, and my parents. I'm not going to lie and say I grew up from the mud, from the projects, from the hood. No, I was comfortable enough to have a degree of freedom in my life where I got to experience a lot at a young age. I live in Bali, which meant I did all the stupid teen things when I was 13 as opposed to 18. And if you really think about it, it took me 5 years of just doing stage 2 things 7 days a week to rank up. So technically, it wasn't fast at all. I just started early because of my location, opportunities, and parents. And you see this with other people as well. You got 17, 18, 19-year-old kids with successful companies or projects that are bigger than themselves. And I can bet they too started early. So note that I didn't rush anything, right? The average person starts at 18 years old. And this checks out because after 5 years, they become 23, which is like the average age people start taking life a little bit more serious, or they rank up, right? But here's the thing. The last slide wasn't meant to be a way for me to brag, so please don't take it like that, right? I simply explained to inform you of how long it actually takes to truly find your real purpose. And there's one thing I want you to watch out of, and that's comparing your life and journey to mine or even to someone else's. Because when you compare, you rush to compete. For example, if you're currently in stage 2, you'll start deluding yourself into thinking you're already past having fun, when deep down you still care about looking cool in front of your friends or going out to clubs, etc. And when you still have these unsatiated desires to have fun and you forcefully go up a rank so as to compete with someone else, you're not going to be living authentically, and you'll set yourself up for failure and regret, as well as the trap, which we'll talk later about in the module, right? Part 0 recap. You might not be ready to find your purpose, and there are 3 stages that determine if you're ready. If you aren't in stage 3, you most likely aren't ready to find your purpose or life's mission. So if you're not ready, just stay present in the moment and experience as many things as possible and have fun. It takes at least 5 to 7 years to rank up, and always remember not to compare your life and journey to others. And yes, it could range from 10 years, 15 years, everyone is different, okay? Everyone has their own journey, so never compare. So, part 1, the meaning of your life. What is a purpose in life? Some say it's your reason for being, the deeper meaning behind your existence as a human. But I believe it's essentially the idea of having a why for our lives. And most religions provide a framework to understand your life's purpose, which often centers around serving a God or living according to moral principles. Now, this question has been pondered by people in societies throughout history. But why does it matter so much? Well, you need a purpose because without it, what's the point of living? There is none. Your life will continue to feel lost, unfulfilled, and directionless. You'll continue to procrastinate as you lack urgency on everything. You'll continue to overthink and doubt yourself as you lack clarity with who you are. And ultimately, without a purpose, you're not living life. You're just existing in the world while time passes. So, a purpose gives you a reason to keep going. It gives life to life, like fuel to a flame. With purpose, you'll wake up every day excited because you have something to look forward to. It gives you assurance knowing that your existence on this earth is justified. And trust me, when you have a deeper purpose behind your work, work will not feel like work. You'll love it and enjoy every second of it. Same goes for life. You'll love every second of your life and live it to the fullest. So I genuinely believe the reason why so many people are living in regret is because they never took the time to define their purpose in life, or they live based on the ego and label it as their purpose. And this is one of the biggest traps in human existence. Yes, the one I've been alluding to in this whole module. See, how many times have you heard old people say, I wish I could go back to my 20s and do it all over again? I believe this is because most people follow their shallow desires and label it as their purpose in life. See, a shallow desire is a desire that is fueled by ego. It gets fulfilled after the destination has been reached, but after that, nothing happens. So they think the solution is to have more, which results in this endless chase and a massive waste of life. This, I believe, is one of the biggest traps in human existence. And nowadays, it's much easier to fall into this trap due to social media. These people waste their best years of their life chasing shallow desires only to realize the truth too late, which means they'll have to live with that burden of regret for the rest of their lives. You see, the only reason I made alignment, these videos in my channel, isn't because of the money. And yes, I know that's cliche, but because it's my personal purpose to actually solve this problem. Before I die, I want to inspire people to live authentically and escape these shallow desires, hoping to reduce the amount of people that fall into this trap. And I hope that the people I inspire decide to inspire other people with the same message. And I want this cycle to continue long after my death because, quite frankly, I don't care if people forget me. As long as my message lives on, then my purpose has been fulfilled. So, all I want is a world where people live authentically and die without regrets. And that is the biggest difference between living under shallow desires and a genuine purpose. If you didn't notice, a genuine purpose doesn't give you fulfillment when the destination has been reached. It's actually the act alone that gives you fulfillment. So unlike the ego-driven desires, you'll never end up in a rat race for more. Because fulfillment comes from the action. You feel fulfilled when you're helping someone, when you're serving the community, when you're providing for the people you love. So if you're still wondering if you're operating under shallow desires, I have laid out some examples to make it clear for you. So the first example is money and status. How many people in their teens and 20s talk about making a shit ton of money and buying Bugattis and watches and mansions? It's good that they're thinking about making money at such a young age, but when they revolve their life around it, they'll be hit with the harsh realization that money doesn't buy happiness because it's a shallow desire after all. And what's even more dangerous is they're so deeply rooted in the ego, they don't want to admit this harsh truth. So they continue to stay naive and make more and more and more money until their whole life has become a chase for money. Once they're in their deathbed, they will finally admit that that was not worth it. And they will pass away with regrets knowing that they wasted their whole existence on something shallow. And I know stories of so many people that I have personally met that has gone through with this fate. And the thing is, I don't fear many things in life, but this is one of my biggest fears in life. To waste my one and only chance at life on something that truly didn't fulfill me. I would never wish that feeling of regret to even my worst enemy, even though I have no enemies. Now, the next one is validation and instant gratification. This is also common with young teens and people in their 20s, some in their 30s and 40s, but they're pretty rare. Most people grow out of this with maturity, yet the quicker you escape this, the better. And this can manifest in many different ways. The social media addict, someone who constantly posts selfies, flexes material possessions, or shares everything they do just to get likes, comments, and attention. Their happiness depends on external validation, and when they don't have it, they feel empty. Then there's the party every weekend guy/girl. They spend every weekend drinking, clubbing, and seeking cheap dopamine through socializing, but deep down, they feel stuck and unfulfilled. They avoid real self-improvement and chase temporary highs instead of long-term purpose. This was me, as you know. Then there's the serial dater, always in a new relationship, jumping from person to person to feel wanted. They fear being alone, so they use relationships as a way to escape personal growth or facing their deeper insecurities. Then there's the hustle for show guy, who acts like they're grinding 24/7, but they spend more time talking about success than actually building something. They chase get-rich-quick schemes, fake lifestyles, and seek admiration rather than actually doing the work. And then there's the escapist, gaming, porn, drugs, etc. They numb reality with excessive video games, porn, weed, or other distractions. They avoid discomfort, discipline, and real progress, choosing easy temporary pleasure over real fulfillment. And then lastly, there's the comparison junkie, who feel inferior when they see others winning. So they either overcompensate by flexing or spiral into self-doubt. And they actually spend more time watching other people succeed instead of working on it themselves. So that was basically some examples of validation and instant gratification. Now, the next example of shallow desires is fear. This is when you do things that are out of alignment with your desired self due to fear. And if you realize, a lot of the examples I mentioned are actually driven by fear. Continuing to work that dead-end job due to the fear of getting fired. Making a lot of money and buying material possessions to get over the fear of worthlessness or rejection. The desire to win in order to prove everyone wrong, which is driven by the fear of inadequacy. The desire to get into self-improvement and improving your physique due to a fear of not being enough. See, fear is dangerous because most people aren't aware of it. The ego has blinded them to the truth. It's all an illusion. Because fear is basically having faith in something that isn't true. It's all delusion. And lastly, we have revenge. Trying to make millions of dollars to get revenge on that one guy calling you poor and lazy. Going to the gym just to get revenge on that bully that called you skinny. Dedicating 5 to 10 years on something just to get revenge. Now here's the thing. You will get your revenge. But after that, what happens? Your 24 hours of satisfaction will fade and you'll realize the harsh truth. You spent years of your perfectly good life trying to get revenge, trading years of memories and experiences for a day of satisfaction. Like, man, I'll tell you now that it's not worth it. It just isn't. So, let's make sure you don't fall into this trap, shall we? Paradigms of purpose. All the different definitions of a purpose in life. Before we find your true purpose in life, I'm going to show you all the different ideologies of a purpose. Because what I believe to be a definition of purpose, you may not align or agree with, so I'm not going to shove my idea of a purpose down your throat. The point is to live authentically to yourself, to have a purpose that is truly aligned with who you are. So, the first one I want to share with you is the majority, the spiritual or religious view. And this is the belief that purpose isn't something you choose. It's something given to you by God, the universe, or a higher power. The idea that your life already has a mission and your job is to find it and follow it. If you follow these beliefs, you might see your journey to connect with God or gods and follow sacred teachings or to grow spiritually. An example is a Christian might see their purpose as spreading love by living by God's teachings, while a Buddhist might see it as reaching enlightenment. Then second is the make your own meaning, secular or a humanist view. Right? They believe life doesn't come in with a built-in mission. It is you who decides what matters to you. Whether it's personal growth, making a difference in your community, or simply pursuing what makes you happy, you choose. They believe there's no right or wrong answer. Right? And an example is, think of it as like writing your own life story based on what you believe gives your life value. And then third is the nothing matters, so do whatever. And this is nihilism. This one sounds depressing, but it doesn't have to be. See, nihilism says life has no built-in meaning. Nothing really matters in the grand scheme of things. But instead of seeing that as a bad thing, some people find freedom in it. It means there's no cosmic rule book, so you're free to decide what gives your life meaning, but you're also responsible for creating that meaning from scratch. An example is if you lean towards nihilism, you might feel that every moment is what you make of it, without any predetermined purpose guiding you. And then fourth is life is an experiment view, and this is the scientific and naturalist view. They believe purpose is just part of nature, something we create based on how our brains are wired and the experiences we go through. Here, purpose is something you build through learning, creativity, and connecting with the natural world. An example is your life's purpose might be defined by your curiosity, your pursuit of knowledge, and your role in the ever-changing natural world. Fifth is the you were built for something. This is the teleological or essentialist view. This view says that everything has a natural purpose, including you. You weren't born randomly. You have certain strengths and traits for a reason. Your purpose is to figure out what you were built to do. Your prerequisite most likely has a core belief of natural talent, destiny, or a unique calling. An example is that you might think that every person has a unique talent or calling that is simply waiting to be discovered, a mission that is built into your very nature. Sixth is becoming your best self, virtue and Stoic view. Instead of focusing on some big mission, this view says purpose is about becoming the best version of yourself and living with integrity. Instead of seeking a grand cosmic purpose, you focus on what makes life good on a daily basis, like integrity, resilience, and kindness. An example is a Stoic would say that purpose is about facing challenges with strength, making rational decisions, and focusing on only what you can control. And then lastly, there's the mix and match, postmodern and emerging views. A lot of people today take bits and pieces from different philosophies to create their own unique meaning. You don't stick to just one belief system. You pull from multiple. You believe purpose isn't fixed. It evolves as you grow and learn. An example is you might believe in personal growth like a Stoic, embrace freedom like a humanist, and still feel like the universe nudges you towards certain paths. And this is my personal paradigm of purpose. See, my paradigm and the alignment purpose philosophy is about fundamentals, because to me, fundamentals are everything. And this is how I personally decide on an idea. I try to throw away my ego and pride, look at all the different paradigms in the world and find a common denominator. And then I would critically think on which aspects of which paradigm aligns best with my prerequisite. Then I can craft my own definition of a purpose in life. Ultimately, I believe your purpose isn't something you find, but rather what gives you true fulfillment in that moment in time. To me, you have multiple purposes in life, right? And it is subject to change as time passes. My rule for a purpose is that it should always be something that transcends the self, something that gives you fulfillment from the process rather than the destination, like I mentioned earlier. Now, for example, my personal purpose is to inspire as many people to live authentically and to help people escape the trap of regret. Then I have my life's purpose, which is to raise children in a healthy and loving family because I want to give them what I never had. Then I have my higher purpose, which is to protect and provide for all my loved ones, right? Notice how they're all a mission that transcends myself. Because to me, true fulfillment comes from the happiness and satisfaction of my loved ones and others. This is the conclusion I came up with after considering my prerequisite. Ever since then, my life has completely changed. So, part one recap. A purpose is your reason for being, the deeper meaning behind your existence as a human. It's ultimately the why for our lives, right? And you need a purpose because without one, you're not living life. You're just existing in the world while time passes. And so many people end up living their lives in regret and wasting so much valuable time chasing shallow ego-driven desires. Alignment is about defining your purpose by looking at other views and coming up with your own conclusion. So, part two is your prerequisite. In part one, I kept talking about the prerequisite and mentioning it. So, what actually is it? What is this prerequisite that I've been alluding to? See, I like to think of it as the ultimate filter that dictates what truly matters to you in life. And this filter is made up of your fundamental beliefs, values, and motivations, and it serves as a guide to judge when defining your purpose in life. So in order to come to an accurate conclusion that is truly aligned with who you are, we need to define this ultimate filter before finding out our purpose. It's like scoring a test, and your prerequisite acts as the marking sheet. So, for example, John's prerequisite is finding truth in life. He is absolutely obsessed with finding the truth, and he is a truth seeker at heart. Because of this prerequisite, he has certain beliefs and paradigms that drive him towards doing things that help him fulfill his goal of finding truth. So maybe he wants to study philosophy, history, or psychology. But most importantly, his purpose in life is heavily influenced by his prerequisite. Now take Jack. His prerequisite is just living a happy life. He doesn't really care about the truths of the universe. He just wants to be happy because to him, happiness and fulfillment is what he really wants from life. Again, because of this prerequisite, he has certain beliefs and paradigms that drive him towards doing things that help him fulfill his goal of living a happy life. So his purpose in life will revolve around this prerequisite, which is living a happy life, or happiness, right? Now, why do we need to define our purpose? Well, the reason you feel lost mainly comes from your lack of meaning and purpose in life, right? But unfortunately, your purpose can't be found by answering a set of questions, so we need to dig deep. Hence why I need you to define your prerequisite. Because even though I believe there is no objective way to live your life and there are no right or wrong answers, your prerequisite is your personal answer sheet to all your questions in life. So, how do we define it? Well, your prerequisite is made up of 3 things. 1, foundational beliefs. This includes all the core paradigms you hold about what life should be. Imagine this like your personal sieve. All the information you consume gets passed through the sieve, which results in your own personal conclusion. As mentioned before, we need to define this sieve to know what your conclusion of a purpose is. Second is your core values and Secondly, we have your core values and principles. Think of these as the core values and principles that you just can't live without. Whether it's personal growth, honesty, creativity, or helping others, these are the non-negotiable parts of who you are. They shape your decisions and guide you in every aspect of your life. Then lastly, we have your intrinsic motivations, what drives you deep down. And it might be the need for a strong relationship, a passion for learning, a quest for emotional well-being. This why sets the stage for what you see as life that matters. Now, hopefully, you've already found your why in the first module of the course, but don't worry, we're going to go over it again if you haven't. Now, I know it's a lot to take in and it can get quite confusing, so it's time for a resource to make it easy. Finding your prerequisite resource. So here we are in the prerequisite resource. Now, I know that was a lot of information and you might be overwhelmed. So now we have to focus on applying the information so it doesn't go out the other end, right? So define your prerequisite. Introduction. Welcome. This is your first step to uncovering what truly matters to you. Before we can define your purpose in life, we need to get clear on your prerequisite. And this resource is designed to help you define your core beliefs, values, and the driving forces behind your actions. So we need to understand what truly matters to you at the deepest level. You'll have a reliable filter to sift through all the different philosophies of a purpose and create one that is authentic and aligned with who you really are. Now remember, there are no right or wrong answers. The only thing that truly matters is that you answer true to yourself, okay? This is for your life, not for anyone else. So, step 1 is the funeral test. This is an exercise by Sean Covey in his book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Imagine yourself at your own funeral, including the setting and the people present, and make sure it's detailed as possible. Then imagine who would speak at your funeral, family, friends, and colleagues. Then you want to reflect deeply on what would you want each person to say about your character, accomplishments, and impact on your lives. And I want you to be super detailed on this. If you have to take 2, 3 days, 4 days, or even a week just to fill this out, do so. Because you need to be really in-depth, and I want you to dig really deep when you answer these questions. And if you ever feel lost on how to answer these questions, you can always scroll down, okay? You can find my own personal example that I used 2 years ago, okay? The exact same thing that I used to change into the person I am now. So I'll go over them later, but again, if you're going through these resources and you ever feel stuck, you can always scroll down and go for my personal example, but do not copy it, okay? Because I don't want you to change into me. I want you to change into your desired self, not my desired self, okay? Step 2 is summarizing your prerequisite. So after taking the funeral test, what do you truly believe matters to you in life? And I want you to answer in points. Then we have your values. Create a list of your core values, morals, and principles that you've taken from your answer to the funeral test. So let's start your top values. Write down 5 to 10 values that you consider non-negotiable. And last, we have your why. After considering your answer in the funeral test, list out your intrinsic motivations, aka what drives you to action. For example, if you envision being remembered as someone who always took risks to grow, then that shows a drive for adventure and personal development. Okay, so list them here. And then step 3, we have your prerequisite. Now, take everything you've listed so far and create a sentence that defines your prerequisite with the help of this template. I believe that core beliefs, and I value top values above all. My actions are driven by why, because I want to, ultimate impact or legacy you want to leave. Every decision you make in life should be in alignment with your prerequisite, which is what you've listed here. Use this as your personal answer sheet if you ever get lost. Now remember, this can change as you grow over time. So now I'm going to go over my personal example just so you have a clear vision of how you should answer these questions, okay? So reflect deeply on what would you want each person to say about your character, accomplishments, and impact on their lives. So my venue is a peaceful, warm afternoon. It's open air, and surrounded by nature. Now my family, my mom, dad, grandma, and sister, they speak with pride, not just about his success, but about his heart. His mom recalls how even as a teen he was different, always thinking big, always chasing something greater. His dad talks about his resilience, how he never followed the safe path, but instead created his own. His grandma smiles as she tells stories of his kindness, his willingness to uplift others, and his deep sense of purpose. His sister remembers him as the protective, guiding force in her life, someone who pushed her to dream bigger and believe in herself. And friends, they speak of his relentless drive, not just for success, but for fulfillment. He was the one who refused to let them settle for mediocrity. He was the one who saw potential in them before they did. They recall deep conversations, late night talks about life, purpose, and legacy. Some laugh, remembering how he was, always working on something new, always one step ahead. But more than that, they remember how he made them feel, like they were capable of more, like they were meant for greatness. Then we have the colleagues and those he impacted. Entrepreneurs, content creators, and those who followed his journey share how his words changed their lives. Some had been lost, stuck in mediocrity, afraid to take the leap. Rayon gave them the blueprint, the proof that transformation was possible. They speak of his authenticity, how he never became just another guru, but remained real, raw, and deeply connected to those that he helped. Many credited him for shifting their mindset, for saving them from a path of regret. And lastly, we have our legacy, right? More than the money, the success, or the numbers, Rayon is remembered as the person who woke people up, the one who showed them that they could rewrite their story. His life wasn't just about his own success, it was about lifting others into their own potential. His impact didn't die with him, it multiplied. And as they all sit there, reflecting on his life, one thought lingers in everyone's mind. Because of him, I didn't waste my life. Now, the core beliefs after taking the funeral step. What do you truly believe matters to you in life? To me, living with purpose. My life must be driven by something bigger than myself. Every action should align with a mission that impacts others. Protecting and providing. True fulfillment comes from being a leader, protecting those who rely on me and providing value, whether that's financial, emotional, or spiritual. Awakening others. I'm here to wake people up, to show them that they can become more. Fulfillment comes from seeing others transform because of my work. Then we have leaving a legacy. Fulfillment isn't about monetary success. It's about building something that outlives me and continues to change lives even when I'm gone. Then we have freedom and alignment. True fulfillment means I own my time, decisions, and directions. I won't trade my purpose for security or comfort. And lastly, we have transcending myself. The ultimate goal is to build something greater than me, whether it's a movement, a philosophy, or an impact that shifts the world in some way. So at the core of everything, if it doesn't fulfill me at my deepest level, it's not worth my time. Then we have my values. Fulfillment over everything. If it doesn't align with my purpose and fulfill me deeply, I won't do it. Purpose-driven action. Every move I make must contribute to my mission of inspiring, protecting, providing, and transcending myself. And then we have legacy and impact. What I build must outlive me. It's not just about success, it's about changing lives in a way that lasts. Then we have freedom and self-sovereignty. I refuse to be controlled by society's expectations, financial limitations, or external pressures. I own my own life. Truth and authenticity. No fakeness, no facades. I stay real, raw, and true to who I am, no matter the cost. Then we have responsibility and leadership. As someone who has knowledge and experience, I have a duty to lead, protect, and provide for those who follow me. Resilience and discipline. No matter how hard things get, I stay locked in. Discipline and persistence separate those who win from those who don't. Brotherhood and loyalty. I stand by those who align with my vision and values. I uplift those who are around me, and I expect the same in return. Spiritual internal alignment. Success without alignment is empty. My actions must reflect my higher self and be in tune with a greater purpose. And then we have our why, or my why. The need for true fulfillment. I refuse to live a life that feels empty. Everything I do must align with my deeper purpose, or it's not worth my time. So, as you can see, after my funeral test, all of these things contain fulfillment, right? So now you're starting to understand what my prerequisite is. Then we have the fear of wasted potential. I will not reach the end of my life knowing I could have done more, been more, and impacted more. Regret is my biggest enemy. The responsibility to lead. I have the knowledge, experience, and drive to guide others towards their highest potential. If I don't step up, who will? The desire to inspire and awaken. I want people to see my journey and realize that they too can rewrite their reality. If I can do it, so can they. And then the mission to protect and provide. Whether it's my family, friends, or those who trust my guidance, I take it as my duty to uplift, support, and safeguard those I care about. Then we have the pursuit of mastery. I won't settle for mediocrity in any area, mental, spiritual, physical, financial. I strive to be the best version of myself in every way. Then we have the drive to build a legacy. My impact should outlive me. I'm not just here for short-term success. I want to leave something behind that continues to change lives forever. The fire for freedom. I won't live by someone else's rules or be trapped by societal expectations. My time, choices, and destiny belong to me alone. Then the hunger to transcend myself. I don't just want to succeed for myself. I want to create something bigger than me, something that shifts the world in some way. Then we have the power of alignment. I know that when I fully align with my higher self, everything falls into place. My mission is to stay locked in on that path no matter what. Because as you can see, every action I take is fueled by these inner motivations. They are what keep me going when things get hard, and they remind me why I can't afford to quit. So, my prerequisite is that I believe that true fulfillment comes from living with purpose, protecting and providing for those who rely on me, inspiring others, and building something that transcends myself. I value authenticity, freedom, resilience, leadership, and legacy above all. My actions are driven by the fear of wasted potential, the responsibility to lead, the mission to inspire, and the hunger to transcend myself, because I want to leave behind a movement that awakens people to their true potential, helping them break free from mediocrity and align with the life they were meant to live. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you find your prerequisite in a nutshell. So just to recap, you do the funeral test in detail, then you take what you answered in the funeral test and list out your core beliefs, your core values, and your why. After that, you fill this out in the template and create a statement. And that basically becomes your prerequisite. So now the time has come. Before we define your purpose, I want to make it clear that I'm not here to push or sell my paradigm onto you, which is exactly why I had you define your prerequisite beforehand. Now, the last thing I want you to do is copy me and live an inauthentic life. So I want you to be completely honest with yourself. There is no right or wrong answers. Do what your heart truly yearns for. And that's cliche, I know, but you need to really follow your heart here, your soul. So let's begin. Purpose. Now we have the purpose resource, creating your path. Introduction. Now that you've defined your prerequisite, we can finally light the torch on your path. Now remember, there are no right or wrong answers. Do what truly feels authentic to you, because at the end of the day, it's your life. You decide everything, okay? So step one, define your purpose. Now here I've shared the paradigms of purpose again, because I want you to go through them again and filter them through your prerequisite like a sieve to define your purpose in life. Now, if a particular philosophy interests you, please look into it deeper, because my explanations of these are more like introductions. They're not 100% accurate representations. So if you're unsure, please take time to look into it deeper, okay? So I'm not gonna read them again because, I've talked about it 20 minutes ago. But basically, when you go through this resource, just reread it again and refresh your mind on it after having defined your prerequisites, so you can think in a more accurate way what your true purpose in life is. So after you've gone through the paradigms of purpose, I want you to answer these questions. Based on your prerequisite, which purpose philosophies feel aligned with you? Then how would you personally define purpose in one sentence? And then finally, what makes this definition feel right for you? Then step 2 is the purpose template. Now it's finally time to define your current purpose in life with all the information you've gathered so far. The template is my purpose is your definition because I believe prerequisite because I feel most fulfilled when I personal actions that align with this purpose. Now some examples are my purpose is to grow and help others because I believe life is all about evolution and I feel most fulfilled when I push myself and share what I learn. And then there's my purpose is to create because I believe I was designed to bring ideas to life and I feel most alive when I'm making things that inspire other people. So here you can write your purpose. And step 3 is action. Now it's time for the fun part. Your purpose isn't just an idea, it's something you live and fulfill. So the final step is taking action to see if your definition actually aligns with who you are and what gives you true fulfillment, right? So first, define what actions align with my purpose. Daily habits, career choices, relationships. And then I want you to visualize what would my daily life look like if I lived fully in alignment with this purpose. And third is plan. What's one small thing I can do weekly/daily to embody this purpose? Now remember, your purpose can change. What gives you fulfillment today might shift as you grow over the years, and that's okay. The goal isn't to have a final answer, but to get you to your desired self as soon as possible. Now again, these are my personal examples, so if you ever get lost and you don't know how to answer these questions, you can always scroll down and look at my personal example, but do not copy, okay? So based on your prerequisite, which purpose philosophy feels most aligned with you? So for me, postmodern and emerging views because I don't believe in a right or wrong way to live life. So my worldview or paradigm is based on multiple philosophies and ideas. So how would you personally define purpose in one sentence? If I were to define purpose in one sentence, it would be to be a protector and provider that inspires others by awakening them to their own greatness. And then what makes this definition feel right for you? Well, it aligns with my core beliefs. 1, that fulfillment comes from protecting, providing, and inspiring others. 2, it reflects my desire to transcend myself, not just by achieving success, but by helping others unlock their potential. And 3, it combines multiple philosophies, the duty of a protector, which is a Stoic view, and the idea of awakening others, which is a spiritual and religious view, and then the freedom to define my own path, which is a postmodern and emerging view. And then 4th, it feels deeply personal, not just about external success, but about becoming the man I'm meant to be. And then 5th, it's a mission, not just a goal, something bigger than myself that continues to evolve as I grow. Now this is my purpose template. My purpose is to be a protector and provider that inspires others by awakening them to their own greatness because I believe true fulfillment comes from transcending myself and helping others step into their full potential. I feel most fulfilled when I lead by examples, push my limits, and guide others towards transformation. So now it's time for the fun part. Your purpose isn't just an idea, it's something you live and fulfill. So the final step is taking action to see if your definition actually aligns with who you are and what gives you true fulfillment. Now it's time for the fun part. Your purpose isn't just an idea, it's something you live and fulfill. So the final step is taking action to see if your definition actually aligns with who you are and gives you true fulfillment. So, what actions align with my purpose? So for my daily habits, creating content that inspires and educates others, pushing my physical, mental, and spiritual limits daily, practicing deep self-reflection and continuous learning, helping others through mentorship, coaching, and sharing insights, and strengthening my discipline and self-mastery. Then we have career choices, which is building a business that empowers others to reach their full potential, monetizing my knowledge and experience to create financial freedom, crafting offers that genuinely transform lives, not just to make money, creating high-value content that spreads my message and mission. And then last, we have relationships, surrounding myself with ambitious, like-minded individuals, becoming a leader in my circle, leading by example, providing for and protecting the people I care about, building deep, meaningful connections based on mutual growth. And then we have visualize. What would my daily life look like if I fully lived in alignment with this purpose? Well, I wake up early, not because I have to, but because I want to. Mornings are quiet. No distractions, no noise, just me and my thoughts. I don't want to waste time scrolling or laying in bed. I get up, stretch, and take a moment to reset. Maybe I pray, maybe I sit in silence, but I always remind myself why I'm doing this. I hit the gym not to look good, but to feel sharp, keeping my energy high and staying disciplined. Some days I push myself hard, some days I just get through it, but I never skip. After that, I eat, shower, and get straight to work. My work is simple. I create. Videos, posts, ideas, whatever needs to be put out into the world. Some day it flows, some days it doesn't. But I show up regardless. I'm not trying to chase trends or go viral. I'm just trying to build something real, something that actually matters. I document the journey and share what I've learned and make sure everything I put out aligns with the bigger vision. Now, at some point, I check in with my team or the people I'm working with. I don't surround myself with just anyone. Only those who match my energy, who are building something of their own, who push me to think bigger. I keep my circle tight and intentional. And then the rest of the day is a mix of working on my business, learning, and just living. I'm not grinding 24/7, right? Because I'm always moving forward. When I do take a break, it's something that actually recharges me. Time with people I care about, a walk, maybe just sitting with my thoughts. But by the end of the day, I check in with myself. Did I actually move forward today? Did I waste time? Did I act like the person I'm trying to become? And if the answer is no, I course correct. And if the answer is yes, I go to bed knowing that I'm still on track. And then I do it all again tomorrow. Now, lastly is plan. What's one small thing I can do weekly/daily to embody this purpose? Daily is post one piece of content that inspires or educates. Another daily is I push myself physically, which is to work out, train, or challenge my limits. And then another daily is to reflect on my growth and align with my actions with my visions. And the last daily is to reflect on my growth and align my actions with my vision. And then weekly, we have engage with my community and help someone progress. And then the second weekly is to expand my knowledge and refine my strategies. So yes, that was the purpose module. So just to summarize everything, first we talked about if you're even ready to find your purpose. Then we talked about what a purpose even is. Then we talked about your prerequisite. Then we talked about how to use your prerequisite to find your true purpose. So once you apply everything correctly, you should have an idea of where you want to go in life. And that is going to be a catalyst or what drives you to action in the next modules. So congratulations on making it all the way through the first module. Now you're ready to unlock the next module. So I'll see you in the next one.